Hello, my name is Misty Franklin. This is my dissertation and practice proposal on universal design learning and artificial intelligence to foster inclusion in legal education. As a result of the pandemic, we have seen dramatic changes in our educational landscape. Among these changes, we have seen an increase in the influence of technology on teaching and learning, as well as an increase in students with disabilities. According to the Law School Survey of Student Engagement, which surveys all law students, nearly 1 in 5 law students identify as having a disability. This is equivalent to about 19% of all enrolled law students across the U.S. In a 2022 report by the Law School Admissions Council, nearly 12% of all incoming first-year law students identify as having a disability, and then there's an additional 40% who do not disclose their disability on their law school application, nor do they even disclose it to their schools once admitted and enrolled. This increase is consistent with the number of students with disabilities that we have seen at the University of Akron School of Law. During my tenure at Akron Law, in the 2014-2015 academic year, we assisted only 5 students with identified disabilities. That number today has grown to 45 students. That is an 800% increase in the last 10 years. Legal education uses a pedagogy of casebook and Socratic method on a curved grading model that was introduced in 1870 and has not changed in 154 years. As we are all aware, the practice and principles involved in teaching have evolved greatly over the last 154 years, as well as our understanding of learning. Yet, legal education has not changed. In an article from the Journal of Legal Education, Ruth Kolker, a professor at Moritz College of Law at Ohio State University, discusses how legal education does not readily accept the framework of universal design learning, and even states that in a field that promotes an interest in equity and inclusion, legal education ignores the importance of disability diversity in its own practices. Through reading of articles and current research, it is definitely apparent that there's a lack of research in the area of legal faculties' knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards universal design learning and how disabilities affect learning, and providing fair access through inclusive course design in the field of legal education. The purpose of this study is to determine the gap between actual and ideal with respect to legal faculty's knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards universal design learning and how disabilities affect learning. The results of this study will determine if new law faculty training and continuing professional development opportunities will increase the implementation of universal design learning and the creation of inclusive learning environments. I'm still struggling with the research questions because they keep sounding like interview questions. However, 2 that I have come up with so far include: what are law faculty's knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards accessibility principles, legal requirements, and barriers to learning for students with disabilities? And 2, what are law faculty's knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards the principles and implementation of universal design learning to influence student success and accessibility in legal education? I'm looking at using a mixed method approach, which will include the use of surveys and faculty interviews, as well as an extensive literature review. It is the intention that this study will shed light on the gap between faculty's knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards understanding how disabilities affect student learning and the implementation of universal design for learning and current pedagogical practices, which include an inclusive culture of learning in legal education. The contributions of the study may also aid in instructional system design of new faculty training in institutions of higher education. My researcher role and positionality is that first, I must disclaim that I do not have a Juris Doctorate. My degrees include a bachelor's in teaching and training and a master's of education in the area of instructional technology and e-learning. I have worked at Akron Law for the past 23 years within the field of academic affairs and online education. In 2019, I became the Director of Online Education and most recently also the Director of the Master of Studies in Law program. Since 2015, I have acted in the role of instructional designer and a professional level degree within higher education. I also proudly hold the role of a peer and master reviewer for quality matters and have reviewed dozens of courses across the state of Ohio and the United States for quality online education certification. Most recently, I was tasked with redesigning our face-to-face Masters in Law program into a fully online asynchronous program. So you may be wondering why I started with the disclaimer, I do not have a JD. It's because the response I get most of the time from legal faculty when discussing course design is, what do you know about legal education? Which usually continues with, you don't know how to teach law. Have you ever taken a law class? So it's the goal of this researcher to use ethical communication and develop a level of trust with legal faculty that I am not pushing my bias, opinion of universal design and inclusive learning environments, but allowing the results of this study to provide the evidence and guidance for change. So reflection, what have I learned? I have learned the difference between a dissertation and practice and my original understanding of a dissertation, which identifies as the PhD dissertation. I have also learned the different types of research methods used within a dissertation and practice, from improvement science, action cycles, and self-studies. Most importantly, outside of the research methods and models, is I think the positionality, the trustworthiness, and the ethics portion. It really has helped to tie in with how do I identify myself in my role currently with my legal faculty to gain their trust, but also to do it ethically through communication skills and providing of evidence and not allowing that personal side to get to it. One of the, I think, things that through this course that I enjoyed the most was the driver diagrams. Outside of the research, I guess that's my nerdy side because I love doing research and finding connections. But the driver diagram really did help me start to trim down and look more specifically. I had this broad view of what my dissertation in my mind would be. So the driver diagram actually kind of helped open up different avenues for me. So what questions do I still have at the end of this course? We might all still have this. What is truly my problem of practice? I know what it is, but I am having a hard time identifying it into words in research. So, I mean, right now, even after working on this presentation and the final paper, I'm wondering, without starting all over, is my true problem of practice the gap in required training of new law faculty and the continued professional development of our current law faculty regarding teaching in theory and practice versus currently what they look at as scholarship and service, with just kind of an overview of like how to manage a classroom, but not into the dirt and trenches of the theory and practice of it. The other question I have is, what research method am I going to use that's going to be best suited for this dissertation practice. And I really think that that answer will come once I hone in and, and solidify my true problem of practice at the end of this. Um, but I'm still leaning towards that mixed method, and that just might still be that mindset that I have. So I'm looking forward to um, the course in the spring. The next question I have is, why do I still have anxiety about not having a solid dissertation and practice topic yet? I feel like I'm so far behind and I'm only in my second semester. So um, it's just something that I hopefully will have an answer to soon. So what are my next steps? My next steps are going to be to continue to explore and read about all of the DiP topics and subtopics, including digital accessibility, emerging technologies, universal design learning 3.0, legal pedagogy, um, and also look into what all goes into new legal education faculty training. Um, because I know that within our institution, they will send new faculty out to double ALS, but it could be contingent upon finances or their timing. It's not a really required. And then the workshops that we have are all based on scholarship and service. So that's an area that I want to explore and look into a little bit more. Also, I definitely plan on setting up a meeting with my advisor and hopefully talking through some of the things that are going through my head on this DiP and getting it all figured out. But I look forward to hearing all of your comments, suggestions, questions, anything else. I appreciate all of you and I've enjoyed this semester. Thank you.